Welcome back to Larry Beatrice YouTube channel. Today we'll be learning how to make a shirt dress with bishop collar and an open slit sleeve. So kindly like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't, and click on the notification bell so that I get notified anytime I upload a new video. Thank you. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today we'll be learning how to make a free shirt dress. Okay, so this is a shirt dress and it's not going to be tight. So I already made my markings here. I'll just explain them. So this is the chest line 9 inches, the half length 16 inches, the hip line 24 inches, and the hem line is 38 inches with allowance. Okay, so I'm just going to try to make these marks brighter so that we can see well. Okay, so after doing that, I went on my shoulder measurement. My shoulder is 14 inches divided by 2 is going to give me 7 inches. So I marked that, and let me quickly explain this. I'm cutting the front and the back together. So unlike how we normally do it with zipper allowance, there's no zipper allowance in it. This is only button and the button is going to be at the front. So now in this case, instead of the back having the zipper allowance, is the front that's going to be having the button hole and button allowance with the overlap. So this is the front here, and before I place the back, I left 3 inches allowance for my front before placing this back on it. So 1 inch is for the overlap. Remember, the button is going to lap on each other like this before we can start. So 1 inch from it is for the overlap, and the last 2 inches is for folding the button hole. Remember, we're going to making a button hole here, and it's going to be a bit it needs to be a bit thick so that it can do that. You can also add interface if you want, but I think folding it twice will cater for that. Okay, so now that that is explained, let's continue with our measurements. On my shoulder measurements, I measured 7 inches, sorry, and then I went down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. For my neckline, I measured, because is a turtle neckline. So depending on the person, and this person is not really, his person is slim a bit. So I measured 2 3/4 for the wideness of the neck, and for the depth. For the back, I measured 1 inch, and for the front, I measured 3 inches. So using my curve, I curved it. So this is for the back and this is for the front. I remember this is actually our front, so I made it into my buttonhole allowance. And also here on the bust side, I took my bust measurement. The bust measurement is actually 36. So 36 divided by 4 gave me 8 inches, but I added 1 inch is allowance. Remember, I said it's a free dress, so the 1 inch I added is this, and then my zipper allowance is 2 inches each. So I made it 2 inches because the person may decide that it is not free enough. So if I have enough allowance, I can easily do an adjustment on that. So on my waist measurement, my actual waist is 13 inches divided by 2 is going to give me 7.5. This 7.5, I added 1 inch is allowance, and then I connected it. For my hip is 38 inches divided by 4 is going to give me 9.5. I added 1 inch is, and then I connected to my hem. Okay, so now that I've done that, I don't want the hem line of the shirt to be just straight. Okay, so from my hem line, I went up by 4 inches here, as you can see. And then when I went up by 4 inches, I took my curved ruler and then I made a curve connecting this back to my hem line, so that by the time I'm done, I'll have like this curvy effect on the sides. It won't be just straight like that. So now that I've done all this, I'm just going to cut this out now, and then we'll start working on it. It's a very simple dress to make, very simple, and it's not time consuming. So I'm going to cut this now so that we can see, and then we start with sewing. Okay, so now we've cut out the bodies, and see it's looking very nice and simple. So now that we've cut this out now, I've cut out my neckline also. Like I said, this is for my back, it's higher, and for the front I just pushed the back aside and then went ahead to shape my front neckline. And we can see the hem line that it is not straight, it's a bit curved. I went up by 4 inches and then I connected it back to the regular hem line. So for the front, the back is simple, there's no dart in this dress, so I'm just going to set the back aside. But before I do that, remember the 3 inches mark that I made, I'm going to notch it so that it will guide me. Okay, so after that I'm just going to, you can add interface to this if you have, just paper stay, because of the buttonhole that we're going to be making there. And I'm going to fold it by 1 inch like this, and then I'm going to refold it by 1 inch, give it a very good press before I sew it very close to the hemline. I'm going to do the same on the other side so that I can lap on each other before I sew them by the sides. So I'm just going to set this aside now. This dress is going to be having a bishop collar and a sleeve. So I made my regular basic sleeve. So this is the sleeve. I think I already have a tutorial on how to make a basic sleeve on the channel, you can check that out. So but in this case, before I took my zipper, before I took my actual basic bodice, I measured 1 inch down like this. So this 1 inch is because I want to have a slit at the outer part of the sleeve. So this 1 inch, I'm going to be slitting it all through, dividing my sleeve into 2 equal parts. Okay, so now this is the 2 sleeves together and I slitted it into 2. So I'm going to use one to explain to us. So now we have this. Now it depends on how open you want your slit to be. The 1 inch allowance that I left is what I'm going to be using to sew it back. So I'll use the 1 inch to sew it back. So it depends on how open you want the sleeve to be. You are the one to decide that. You can sew it up to here, then you iron your zipper, your allowance, so that it can expose some parts of your sleeve, and then sew it up to here so that you have opening from here to here. You can just sew like 1 inch here to have more opening. You can sew it up to here, depends on what you do. I'm sure as we are going ahead we'll understand this better. And also this is going to be having a bishop collar, like I said. So I went ahead to cut my bishop collar. I cut 2 of these and I'm going to be adding interface to it, just paper stay, just to make it, because this is a doll face fabric. So I'm going to be adding interface to this to make this stronger. So now we are going to the sewing part. All our cutting is done. Okay, now so to sew this, like I said, I ironed interface, just paper stay, on the 3 inches part, and then I went ahead to fold it 1 inch by 1 inch. Okay, so now you can either sew on it like this, or you give it a effect. You know, buttonholes sometimes they don't just come like that, like I did for the first one. If you notice, you will see that there is like a lift around here, you can see. So if you check your buttonhole very well, you will see something like this. So to give it this, I don't want it to be just blank like this, to be just plain like this. I want it to have something like this. So to give it this effect, what you need to do is just after folding like this, like I folded 1, 2. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is just to tuck in a bit. Remember, it will guide you. This is a bit hard, so you will definitely feel it on your hand on the right side. So you just need to tuck in a bit, very tiny part of this inside. You can see the way I'm pinching it. So you tuck it inside and then you hold with a pin like this. So it's very simple to make. You tuck it and hold it with a pin. Okay, so now that you are done with that, just lie it on the flat surface, take another pinch, fold it neatly, and then you hold it with a pin also. So you keep doing that till you get to the end. You can see. Then you go to the next one, tuck it in just tiny, a little bit is okay. Then you hold this with a pin. So you keep doing that till you do that for, and you check that it is balanced. So you have to take the same pinch all through. That's the only way you'll be assured that you will not be having any place packing. Everything is going to lie flat for you. Okay, so let me just show us what we are doing. You can see a little bit of gap here. So once you have this is what it looks like on the other side. You are not going to sew tiny on it. So once you do that, it's going to give you the effect that this gave. It's going to give you this same effect that we have here. I hope you can see this. Okay, so it's going to give you this exact effect that you are seeing here, like a little bit of lift around here, and this is what we have on the wrong side. You can see how neat this is. I'm even yet to press it after sewing. So after sewing it, to take it to the sewing machine, I also give it to the ironing table and give it a good spray. So I'm going to continue with this now, and then I'm going to sew it straight like that, then bring it back to show us. Okay, so it has been sewn now, as we can see. So this is what it looks like. The buttonhole is going to lap on each other like this, as you can see, and this is the neckline. So now I'm just going to hold this with a pin so that I can shape my dress, and then I'm going to bring in the back bodies like this. I'm going to sew it together on the shoulder and then also on the sides using the allowance that I left. Okay, remember our allowance. I'm going to sew it. I'm just going to sew it like this, following my allowance. I'll shape it, and also I'm going to sew the shoulder together like this before I bring in my sleeve and my collar. So I've sewn it on the shoulder like this, both shoulder, and also on the side seam using the allowance that I left. Okay, so I just use pins to hold the overlap button. So when you turn it out, our shirt is almost ready. We just need to fix our sleeve and the collar, and then attach our buttons. So this is what the shirt look like. You can see it's very simple to make. So this is what the shirt is looking like. So now I'm just going to bring in the sleeve. Remember, we opened the sleeve into 2 equal halves. So like I said, I just sew by 2 inches downwards here, and the rest is opened. And on the hem line I did the same, 2 inches sewing, and I left the rest open. So I took it to the ironing table, and then I ironed in my allowance. So you can either use hemming gum to iron it down if you don't want it to be sewn, or you can sew it down like this just to expose this place for you. I hope you understand. You can either hem it with hemming gum. You use iron to gum the hemming gum to it, and then it will lie flat for you, or you can also sew it. So on the hem line, the sleeve is going to be having a curve. So I've cut a 10 inches long curve by 4 inches. So by the time I take it here and here, it will go back to 3.5 inches for me. So I'll be gathering all of this inside the curve, because it's going to be a puffy sleeve. So that is it about the sleeve. And also the collar, I ironed paper stay, and I went ahead to sew it on the neckline part, and I used my iron to press it down like this. So I'll be fixing the collar onto the neckline of the dress. Okay, so our collar has been fixed now. You can see it has been neatly fixed, and also I fixed the sleeve, it's an open sleeve like I said, so the arm of the person will be showing, and it has a cuff. So this is and I also went ahead to fix my buttons. So I just need to make my button holes on the other side so that we can attach it to it, and our shirt dress is ready. So I just need to take this to a serger and weave the rough edges inside, or you can just do a French seam when you're sewing it. And then I'm going to hem the shirt on the hem line. So it's very simple to make. You can try yours and let's see what you come up with. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, so this is our full shirt. You can see how beautiful this is looking. To show us what this looks like on the mannequin, you can see how beautiful. I'm here to do the button. Oh, that's why I cannot. And you can style it anyway. You can actually button it down, or just button it up here and wear like a black camisole or gown or white. You can style it anyhow you want. It's very beautiful and versatile. So like I said, give this a try and let's see what you come up with. See you in the next one. Bye.